Okay, boys and girls, so right now we're going to work on 7-8 and we're going to work on converting mixed numbers to decimals. And remember, a mixed number is when I have a whole number and a fraction. And I want to be able to turn this into a decimal with something, into a decimal. So using my decimal point instead of a fraction. So we're going to learn that today. So let's say I gave you this mixed number, 5 3/10. So as I look at this, I can see 5 is my whole number. 3/10 is my fraction. So I need to put both of these into a number with a decimal point. And I want to show you how. If we go to the left from a decimal point, we're showing whole numbers. If we go to the right of a decimal point, we're showing fractions or decimals. So they're numbers that are less than a whole number. So that's why they're this way on the decimal point. They're smaller than a whole number. So we put the decimal point to signal that, oh, we're going smaller than a whole number, and then any number this way is smaller. This decimal, anything going to the left, means it's bigger than one whole, meaning it's one whole or bigger. So we're going to use that knowledge to help us create the decimal. So I'm going to put my decimal point right here. I always put my whole number in front of it. It always goes to the left of the decimal point, so it's in front of the decimal point. Now my part for my fraction goes behind, and I use the same logic of yesterday. So I can see that this is 3/10, meaning I'm only going to need to go to the tenths place. So that means I put my 3 above it, and this is now my new fraction, 5 3/10. Not fraction, decimal. Why do I always say that? Okay, it's my new decimal, not fractions. Probably because I'm still saying 3/10 even though it's a decimal, and that's how you would say the decimal. But when I say 3/10, it makes me think of fractions. So my new decimal is 5.3. I put my whole number in the front, and I put my fraction, or my decimal, behind it. So the fraction turned into a decimal behind it. So let's practice another one. Watch me as I do it. So we have 5, or we just used 5. Let's do 8 6/10. So I'm going to mark my whole number. 8's my whole number. 6/10 is my fraction. I'm going to put down my decimal point. Scream out, where does the whole number go? Does it go on the left side of it or on the right side of it? The whole number will always go on the left side. So I'm going to put it right here. Bring it down. Put it right here. Goes on the left side because this signals these are numbers greater than one whole. Okay. Now I turn my fraction into a decimal. So I see there's 1 0. So that means I'm going to take 6 and I'm going to move the decimal point right here. Or I could have realized that it was 6/10, meaning that it got to the tenths place. So I could do my decimal point, draw my tenths, and put the 6 up above. Either way works. So I know behind my decimal, I need to put one line for the tenths and put the 6 on top. So I now have my new decimal of 8 6/10 right there. Okay? It's pretty simple once you get the pattern. So let's do another one. Help me out as I do it. So let's do 25 and 33 hundredths. What number is my whole number on this? Scream it out. It's 25. So I'm going to mark that one is the whole number. Which one is the fraction? 33 hundredths is the fraction. So I put on my decimal point. Does the whole number go on the left side or the right side? Call it out. It goes on the left side. So if you call out left side, good job. Okay, now before I can put my fraction, because this is what it makes sense, 25 and 33 hundredths like this, I have to change it into a decimal first. So I see that I'm in the hundredths place. So I put my decimal point and I go tenths, hundredths. Remember, there's no ones. It's tenths, then hundredths. I take my 33 and write one digit on top of each, which now gives me my new decimal point of 0.33. So I put the 33 behind it, and now I have my new decimal. I have 25 wholes with 33 hundredths with it. Okay? Let's try one where you do one with me. So make sure that you have your a paper with you or something to solve problems with me. Let's do a few together. Okay? Let's give you the fraction 13/27 hundredths. Okay, I want you to write this down and box, and you can use different colors if you want. If you don't, you can just maybe box one and circle the other. I don't know. Whatever you want to do. I want you to box the whole number in a different color or something like that. So if you were to do that, 13 would have been my whole number. Now I want you, if you're using the same color, circle the fraction or use a different color and box the fraction. 27 hundredths is that fraction. Good job. So I'm going to draw my decimal point. I want you guys to do that too. Okay. Where does the whole number go? Does it go in front of it or behind? So does it go to the left of it or to the right of it? You guys are right if you said it goes to the left of it. Right there. So I put my 13 in front of it just like that. Now I need to change my fraction into a decimal. So I want you guys to take a second and do that. So if I were to do that, I'd realize this is in the hundredths place. So I put a decimal and I draw my place. Remember, there's not a once. It's tenths, then hundredths. I put on my 2 and my 7, making sure each one has a spot on one of the lines, which means my decimal for 27 hundredths is this decimal point 27. So I'm going to put the 27 behind it. So I now have my new decimal of 13/27 hundredths. Okay, try this next one completely on your own. Once I have it written, pause the video, try it completely on your own, and check to see how you did. So let's say I give you 76. Oops, let's do 5 hundredths. Okay, try this one on your own. When you're ready, unpause the video and check your work. So if I were to do this, I'm marking my whole number and I'm marking my fraction. So I know that my whole number goes on the left side of the fraction. So I wrote it right there. Now I need to turn this into a fraction. I can see I'm in the hundredths place, so I put my decimal point. Remember, there's not a ones place, so it skips right to tenths, then hundredths. Now I need to put the 5 on there. It needs to represent 5. If I put it here, I'd have to put a 0 here. Is that 5? No, that's 50. So to represent 5, I put the 0 here, and then the 5 here. This represents 5 hundredths right there because I'm still in the hundredths place. And I have the 5 on top. So remember, when I have a single digit hundredths, I always put a 0, then a 5. So this is my new fraction, 5 hundredths. So I write it down here, and I now have my new decimal. It's 65 and 5 hundredths. Okay, if you need help, I'm on Google Hangouts, and I'm ready to help you at any point of the day. I'll let you know if I'm in a meeting, and if I am, we'll have to wait. But if I'm not, I'm there to help you. Thanks, guys. See ya.